Python's behavior for rich comparison, or when decimal 100.0 is lower than 0.01. So I have a one-liner. All it does is make a decimal object holding 100.0 and compares it to 0.01, the float, in various ways. My result is: from the docs, a rich comparison method may return the singleton not implemented if it does not implement the operation for a given pair of arguments. So really there are three questions here. When a rich comparison method returns not implemented, what happens? Why doesn't it raise an exception? When it gets not implemented, why does it return false in the first case, then true in the second? Bool, not implemented, should be a constant. Does it simply fall back to ID checking? It seems no, or yes, but backwards. Ignore this line, formatting is screwed up and this fixes it. My results were tested on edit, documentation about ordering, this URL.
When a rich comparison method returns not implemented, what happens? Why doesn't it raise an exception? It delegates to the converse method, e.g. __lt__ when the operator is RHS in the comparison, the float, which in this case also returns not implemented, and finally falls back to Python 2's silly old rules for heterogeneous comparisons. When it gets not implemented, why does it return false in the first case and true in the second? Bool, not implemented, should be a constant. No bool involved, since both sides of the comparison return not implemented, due to a deliberate design decision to not support any operation between decimals and floats. The silly old rules are used as a fallback, and in a recent enough version we'll be comparing the types, not the instances. ID has nothing to do with it, therefore. In Python 3, such an unsupported heterogeneous comparison would fail and raise a clear exception, but in Python 2, for backwards compatibility, that just can't happen. It must keep behaving in the silly way it's behaved throughout Python 2's lifetime. Introducing backwards incompatibilities to fix what are now considered design errors, like this part about het comparisons, was the core reason to introduce Python 3. As long as you're sticking to Python 2, e.g. because it has more third-party extensions, etc., you need to grin and bear with these imperfections that are fixed in Python 3 only.
I have Python 2.6.4 and your example works fine, i.e. I find. Which is expected. I don't know why you obtain different results. About ID, ID has nothing to do with comparisons, so under no circumstances should you compare A and B by ID. A is lower than ID B, that does not make any sense. ID is a bit like an address in memory, so comparing them makes no sense at all.
If you want to support the channel, please consider liking and subscribing.